if you're one of our haters who are out there watching.
I want to warn people about hypnoporn.
We need to stay meta.
Stop that.
Need new tires? Like what?
If Jim would shut up for a second.
Oh, high fidelity.
Okay, don't tell me to shut up.
I'm not whining.
I eat doggies. I eat doggies. Feels like a party.
Stop that. It's a war. They have made it so that I cannot be celebrating July 4th.
I don't care. I'm gonna lie, I'm not gonna pretend. I don't care. How do I think? That's what I think. I don't care.
This is 6 Degrees of Stew. You don't need to stay meta, but I'm glad you're here. Something to share. I'm going to start off with Jackie's misidentification this week. Well, one of them. She did say another person. I think it was Glenn Greenwald was somebody else who wasn't. But this one here was her big one, and I'm going to check and see if she still has it pinned. But here, and I'll go through it on my Twitter feed because I have it up. And I kept adding the information to it. But she posted this. Let me go and see if she still has this up. Well, not Jim. I don't care about Jim. It's not Jim's night. She still has it pinned, and she did it on February 7th. So Jackie's original post, and this is an incorrect identification. New, I regret to inform the public that the individual blocking, and she has, it was the day that they blocked the Democrats from going into the Department of Education, and there were TikToks about it, and you can see right here.
He's not a federal employee.
And then there's this one.
Are you prepared to stand here all night if we decide to stay?
I guess, yeah.
All right, well, you just stay right there. You just stay and stand.
Why are you letting us go to that desk like we were able to do last?
So Jackie was trying to identify him. I am part of Community Notes. I don't know if this has taken hold yet, but I did rate it helpful because the man was identified before Jackie even went down her hunt in misidentifying this gentleman, which she does often, more often than she should, or anyone should. I mean, if you make a mistake, you say it's wrong, you take it down, admit, misidentifications can happen. But not what Jackie said. I played again. Sorry, let me mute that. That scared the bejesus out of me. Okay. So the fact check on the community note was the Democratic lawmakers denied entry to the Department of Education. We aren't dangerous. And this was posted February 7th, 2025 at 12:47. But they had this article was posted based on what Representative Frost had shared to X and what Maxine Waters had said. And they identified him.
He's not a federal employee.
Like this is all autoplays. My ears.
He's not a federal employee.
Can I stop that? And they identify him correctly down in here as, where is the name at here? I read this earlier in the week, the day Jackie did all this.
He's not a federal employee.
Oh, the man was identified as Jim Harefield by Representative Maxine Waters of California during the video. So she identifies him right in the video, but that wasn't going to stop Jackie even after she found out later in the day and the next day. I mean, she posted this February 7th, and here we are 8, 9, 10, 4 days later, and Jackie still has it pinned. So that is what she went through. And then she posted that Pim Eyes had scrapped his face. That wasn't true. She posts that they were seeding disinformation, using stolen identities of a black man on Threads. I mean, it just goes more and more down the deep rabbit hole. And Jackie will not take no for an answer on this. So back to my thread here. It didn't matter after it was corrected, though, because by the time, and this was, when did I do it? February 8th, I did this. She had 1.4 million views, 4,840 reposts, 563 quotes, and 12.1 thousand likes, and about 1,900 people have bookmarked it. And she always says people, when she hides replies, are bots. They're not. Somebody in this actually fact checks. Let me make this bigger. And I went in to show, like, they're real people. And we'll get to where somebody shows her the truth. There's somebody showing that it's not true, and there's the fact check. And I'm not a fan of Tizzy, but he was right on this. He has his own issues, but that's not the subject of the matter tonight. Oh. We go down. That's the article. The guy was on PIMIs. They didn't scrub him. So that's right there. You can find him right there. That was a good find by Wrath. And then he was getting harassed because somebody found the poor guy on his Facebook that Jackie identified and said, this guy is helping fellow South African Elon Musk destroy America. White supremacists stick together. So her misidentification was causing havoc everywhere. And then another gentleman tried to get her to stop, who is friends with Jim, who is actually in the video and things. And he said, this is misinformation and not true. Jim is a nice, decent man who is a career civil servant at the Department of Education. He's not who you all think he is. Your outrage is at the wrong person. You're putting him in danger with this post. And Jackie demanded a photo of Jim. And the gentleman said, he is a coworker that has literally been working at the department for years. Why would I randomly have a photo of him? This is Jackie. So then 4 hours after Jackie's post, somebody said, I think you need to take it down. Jackie, nope, she's not taking it down. And then Cheyenne had this was, she misidentified again. She said this was Glenn Greenwald. It was a video. I think there was a war criminal that was up in New York, and Jackie thought in the video that this guy was Glenn Greenwald. And I believe she took this one down, but she didn't admit the other one. I'm not sure. Hi, Mur. I know, I wish they would be. And this is Cheyenne. He fact-checked Jackie too and said, you're wrong. This baseless claim that the man blocking Democratic lawmakers from entering the education department is a South African named Toby Jansen van Ronsburg has gone viral. The man, per Representative Maxine Waters, is Jim Harefield, a deputy assistant secretary in the Department of Education. So Jackie was wrong, but she's not going to stop. It's what Jackie does. And then we had an update on February 9th. Chris, I don't want to butcher the last name, but good reporter, reached out to Toby Jansen von Rensburg, the man falsely accused of blocking lawmakers. He said he's never been to the U.S. and isn't sure how he was falsely ID'd. Quote, maybe she thought I would be an easy target, end quote. And then he shared a recent picture of himself. You can clearly see not the same person, but that's how Jackie does her misidentifications. And Jackie's kind of been doubling down on Twitter and saying she's going to leave. Her life's in danger. I don't know. I try. Oh, Jackie came back out of hiding to show that Torswatz was arrested. And no thanks to her fail doxing a man in Sweden who had nothing to do with it and never apologizing to him. Huh, Jackie? Okay, I'm not gonna. Yeah, she called everybody trolls who was attacking her for calling her out on the fail docs. I mean, the misidentification. So that's what's been going on with Jackie, but I just wanted to show what she does all the time. She's something else. Jackie. Okay. We are going to go and start watching HiFi a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Jim and tying Jim not understanding what 764 is, the calm, or the Order of Nine Angels. We'll talk about that. Angles. Is that what? How did Jackie phrase it? I can't remember what she thought that was before. But we'll do that. But we'll start the HiFi.
Welcome everybody to a fireside chat. This is a RadPod holiday special. My name is Heidi Kuda. Normally, this is an investigative show about disinformation, and really tonight's show is also an investigative show about disinformation. But instead of bringing you the news, we're going to be telling personal stories of each of our members of our team. And tonight, HiFi is in the holiday hot seat. So just think of this as a nice fireside chat, getting to know your hosts a little bit better and getting to know their stories and their narratives. And
I'm very excited, Heidi.
Right now you'll hear, hopefully in the background, the poor man's fireplace, which is woodwick candles, which make crackling sounds and they smell really nice. So I'm kind of, let me actually show you what they look like. They're really beautiful. These are woodwicks and they make really great, like crackly fireplace sounds. So welcome everybody. HiFi. This was a really great idea. Everybody knows bits and pieces of each of our stories, but they don't really have the big full picture. And I think it's important for people to know how and why we got into this war and what brought us here and why our skill sets are useful. So, HiFi, let's start back at the beginning with you.
It's funny to watch the dynamic
to your
between
childhood,
and
can you kind of give me a snapshot of your youth and anything pertinent before we move on to really kind of what drew you into initially trolling culture?
So, Midwestern, born and raised. I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was raised in Bowling Green, Ohio.
He does,
and then
Murray does look like he's ready for bed.
Yeah, my dad was trying to make his fortune, so we moved around a lot. And I've lived in Bowling Green, Ohio, Tiffin, Ohio. I actually spent some time living in Eden, New York, outside of Buffalo. And around 7th grade, we moved to Medina, Ohio. That's where I went to junior high and high school and graduated from.
Story.
And then I went to college at Miami.
We got to go back a little bit for that photo.
So
we got to pause for that 90s HiFi leg.
Born and raised. I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was raised in Bowling Green, Ohio. And then my parents.
Here's a cute chubby baby. I like chubby babies.
Yeah, my dad was trying to make his fortune, so we moved around a lot. And I've lived in Bowling Green, Ohio, Tiffin, Ohio. I actually spent some time living in Eden, New York, outside of Buffalo. And around 7th grade, we moved to Medina, Ohio. That's where I went to junior high and high school and graduated from. And
look at that stud, everyone. Look at that stud. I can't make too much fun of HiFi for this photo, though, because if I looked up my yearbook, my 90s yearbook, because I graduated in 95, all the senior photos are like this. Like the guys and girls, we were like this and looking up. They did them ridiculous. But yeah, there's a Studley HiFi high school. Ooh la la.
And then I went to college at Miami of Ohio. And I went as a double major in cello and opera.
Did you know HiFi plays cello and opera?
I got a little sidetracked. Let's wine, women, and song.
Yeah.
And got kicked out of school and joined the Marine Corps. That was a bad decision.
I forgot because I've watched this so many times, but I don't pay attention to anything he's done. But HiFi was a Marine too, so.
But, you know, whatever, it happened. Got out of the Marine Corps and did some traveling. I lived in Japan for about 6 months. I lived in Mexico for a while. I had a crazy youth. I was practicing street alchemy a lot as a kid, as we say. And
hold on. As we say, I was practicing street alchemy. Does anybody say that? Has anybody in their youth? Like, I was in college. I was in my mid-20s. My husband went to the Army after college. I don't remember anybody just saying, we practice street alchemy, as they say. I'm not sure what street alchemy is either. Like, I know he talks about some other stuff later on that I'm familiar with, but
I read a lot of books. You know, I was always kind of a geeky kid, so I read a lot of books, and books are very important in this story because they explain a lot of things.
we didn't even get to his cult yet.
And
He's already doing street alchemy.
you know, I learned to love other cultures. I learned a lot of things about different people around the world. And I ended up in New Orleans in the mid 90s and started there working in restaurants and eventually became a cab driver.
Oops.
And a cab driver on the streets of New Orleans.
That's HiFi, the cabbie, the NOLA days, age 27. Now these ones we could start to take a couple pot shots, right? Like standing, staring at the water, his leather jacket there, age 27. Now the way he talks about this, he acts like he was a kid. He's 27 years old. Like just the way he tells these stories and creating his cults. Keep in mind, like the ages and stuff. And I don't know, stunted growth mentally. Like the way you behave.
There's so many ways to get in trouble. It's awesome. I was doing all sorts of things that no one in their right mind should do, and quite a few of them were certainly on the opposite side of the law.
You rebel.
But I did learn a lot from that too. It's you know, street smarts, right?
Mhm.
You meet street pharmacists, you meet sex workers, you meet all sorts of people, and everybody loves the cab driver because the cab driver just drives them everywhere. So
Yeah.
I had all sorts of friends down there. While I was down there, I actually I worked for a magazine called Where You At magazine that's still in business down there. I worked as a restaurant reviewer for them.
HiFi wrote restaurant reviews.
One day I was sitting in a
I didn't have
coffee
time to look
shop,
up any of those.
and I ran into a friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to apply for this program where the state of Louisiana will pay you to go to school, pay for your testing, pay for all your computer stuff, and if you qualify, they'll get your MCSE." And I had always enjoyed computers. I was, 95, 96. I was on the somethingawful.com forums, which were kind of the beginning of troll culture and raid culture. And you can actually hear about that. We talked about that, Jim, our other co-host, and I, in Anonymous Rise, Fall, and Payback.
I've listened to that. I'm a glutton for punishment.
On his blog. And, you know, I was big into Napster at the time because, hey, free music, right? And I remember one day, you know, I was walking down the street talking with a friend of mine about Napster and music sharing and how the government and corporations are going to crack down on us. And he said, "They can't stop us all." And I remember that phrase because
that is a loud-ass candle.
The internet is great for creating groups. But it's also very dangerous because not all of those groups have good intentions. And I really wanted to get into technology, and I met my friend in the coffee house, and I got into technology. And that was about, it was the end of 98, 99. And by 2000, I moved back to Ohio because my father had lost his job and decided to start his own company. And I moved back, kind of help the family out, keep things together and whatnot, and started working in technology.
What a guy.
And when I moved back to Akron and Cleveland, you know, I wasn't all that great, all that well behaved there either. I used to throw underground raves.
Just wait until
in warehouses
the
and
way he
whatnot
relives
in
his heydays.
And the last one I ever threw had like 3 paddy wagons and about 17 cop cars, and I decided it was time to hang up my spurs from that.
Like, okay, like if we're looking at, he was a cabbie in New Orleans. I don't know how long he was there because he said he was 27. Then he moves home because he has, you know, and he's done this. I'm assuming his MCSE is the Microsoft certified systems engineer thing. I don't know. I'm just assuming that's what it is. So he does that schooling, everything, and he's back home. So he's like probably like 29, 30, and he's like throwing raves and like, oh, paddy wagons showed up. Like, so braggadocious and childish, like at the age of 30. I'm not saying anybody has to grow up by a certain time or not have fun. I certainly had a lot of fun, until my body started just, disintegrating on itself and not working the way it should. But I don't know. See, like if I was at a party and I was in my, like when I was going to raves and stuff in college and there was like this 30-year-old man there, I'd be like, ooh, who's that creep? That's just me. Who's that old dude at our party?
And so I'm like, yeah, maybe it's time to settle down. So 2004, I got married. But I was also working in technology and I spent a lot of time traveling. And when you're on the road a lot and you're internet savvy, you find a lot of weird stuff. But I eventually ended up on 4chan. And on 4chan, I hung out on the Whack B board. And that's where the trolling, I really learned a lot about trolling.
I bet you did.
Desensitized myself just because the boards were so awful. And the people there, it was a competition to see who could be more edgy, to be more horrid, to be more soulless, right? And I learned how to do that. And also,
and you never lost
it,
which I'm going to show everybody tonight.
Broke my spine in a car accident. So that obviously put a lot of strain on the marriage. Man, I'd say about 2008, 2009. I forget exactly when Lolly Chan was on 4chan, but that's when people on 4chan started grooming children for sexual things, and
they're fucking disgusting.
The white supremacists were running rampant on that site, and I left. And I was still working in IT and traveling a lot, and I had a kid, and Google released Google Plus, and Google Plus was fun.
Muggsy, I know you're about the same age as me. We're around the same, and I don't know, but when Google Plus came out, like there were a few of us that signed up because we were like, oh, something different from Facebook. But then not everybody was migrating. It wasn't user friendly. It was like clunky and junky. Like the interface was terrible. So nobody used it. So like the way he brags, and he tells his story everywhere. Like there's another interview he does with Greg Hausch, and he's so proud of being a troll on Google Plus. I'm like, well, there was nobody on Google Plus like to really troll, I guess, slow clap for you.
And I actually met some old 4chaners there, and we became kind of like a troll crew.
Yeah,
and
I had it too, Muggsy. A few of us did, but nobody cared.
One of, I mean,
that's why it failed.
This troll crew, my boys, we're so tight. We've been together since 2013. We still talk almost daily to this day. And we used to do things like we would infiltrate white supremacist groups, and we would convince them that we were one of them, and we would get administrator status, and then we would just invite hundreds of anti-racists into their groups, and we would go nuts and post obscene memes and all sorts of fun stuff and destroy the group.
It's his life's work, Murr.
And I think one of the,
he tells it everywhere. Look at the happiness on his face.
We used to have an award show every year called Russellmania, where we would give the objects of our trolling, the individuals who we had trolled the most that year, awards.
They had Google Plus
just for their absolute ridiculous responses to some of the things we did. There was one guy, he was racist, he was misogynist, he was just absolutely awful. His name was Lou.
Thank you, HiFi.
And he lived in London.
Because it sure helped.
And a friend of mine and I decided to wind this guy up. For 3 days, we had him driving around the city of London looking for us because we would send him pictures from Google Maps that we would just randomly choose. We're over here. Come get us, you wanker. You know, and we get into it with him verbally and wind him up. And then he would send us pictures of him at that spot. And he did this for 3 days, and it was amazing that we could wind someone up for that many days. Another fun one we did was there was an individual on Google Plus who was trying to start a cult, basically.
This was interesting because HiFi has started not one, his Lion King cult, and then he has his beer cult, but he takes umbrage with this lady trying to start her own because he didn't like what she was doing. So HiFi and his expert trolls are going to stop her.
She was gathering followers and portraying herself as almost a messianic type, like spiritual wisdom. Very annoying.
Like Rafiki? We're going to get to Rafiki.
We decided to mess with this person. So we gathered a few influencers on Google Plus.
Influencers on Google
generally
Plus.
People with, 10 to 40,000 accounts following them. And then we had a whole bunch of follower accounts were in the thousands. And altogether, there was probably 13 to 15 people in on the prank. And what we did is we made it appear as if every single one of our accounts
Heidi looks like part of her soul left her body listening to this.
By a group of hackers that the individual we were targeting and hired. And we had our back channel set up and we were all talking in our back channel. And we say, okay, at this time, we're all going to release this statement with this image.
Muggsy, all two of Google
accounts.
Plus influencers. Oh my.
And we did this I think about 12 hours. People were so freaked out by the spectacle, by the story, by the narrative warfare that we were engaged in. Tens of thousands of emails went to Google. They received phone calls because one of the things we said was, Google's two-factor authentication had been hacked, and that's how they got into all of our accounts.
What does that have to do with the cult lady?
And Google actually investigated us for that. We had some friends who work at Google, and they're like, "What did you guys do? Why?" And we told them the story. I mean, we were honest about it. We're just like, yeah, we wanted to mess with this person because they were being a jerk face, and that's why we did it.
Imagine.
So you can, despite what people say, you can troll for good, I guess you'd call it. Maybe it's, I wouldn't say it's malicious, but it's certainly mischievous. I will say that.
Well, so I have multiple questions, so I just want to take a moment. First of all, I find it very interesting that you have a background in classical music and opera, and how that perhaps maybe was a bit of a training ground for your career and experience to date, as to the point where we're at in this interview, how it sort of allowed you or helped you map out kind of how you did your mischief. Because I do find, I'm a huge classical music fan, and I actually know a fair amount about the lives of classical musicians. And these guys were like, there's murderers and, just all kinds of character defects and, playing in whorehouses and not getting paid. And, one guy's gets on his wedding night, runs away because he's actually gay, and there's all kinds of crazy stories. But I do think that there's there's probably some kind of correlation.
Well, I think there is an intersection between intelligence, maybe musical ability, or at least that creativity part of the mind, And a lot of that also transfers over into computers. You find a lot of people in technology who have, musical skills.
Yeah.
I don't know what that skill set is. But it's there.
Some sort of mathematics, some sort of putting together the puzzle, the network, because I know that the people that I am most allied with,
we know
in the fight that we have
I've
at
read your
hand,
saucy book, Heidi.
all of us found each other through the work that we do and the volunteer work we do and the activist work we do. And then we all peeled it back and we're like, wait a minute, you're a bass player, you're a drummer, I was a music writer, still am, so it's very interesting that there is, and maybe that's part of the defiance too. That could very well be sort of a punk rock spirit, because I certainly know that is something that unites us. But when you talk about trolling for good, what you're describing hanging out in the early days on the Something Awfuls and the 4chan before it became like, how you described it, you're really describing a kind of great training ground for the work that you then did to try to take down and take apart and dismantle these bad actors who clearly were harming people at scale and harming some of our friends. So I think that's interesting to hear sort of some of that history and know that you actually were sort of in rehearsal for your activism today.
Well, I got to be honest. I wasn't really an activist. I was Joe Normal. I was an IT guy. I mean, if you look me up by my real name online, which, I'm going to just show you right now what happens when you do that. I'm a computer guy. Here's me on YouTube being interviewed for VMware.
Yeah.
Here's me when I was right before this. I was doing things with Tech Field Day.
Yeah.
And wrote some articles for them. And I was really good at what I did. I was multiple tech podcasts. People thought I was kind of a goofball. I was able to capture people's interest and explain technology to non-technical people in a way that helped them understand it.
Yeah.
And when I say activism, I was obviously fast forwarding to date. Because clearly
now.
Yes, clearly that wasn't the, your original get down. You were, entertaining yourself with the crew, getting back at white supremacists. But I do see that as planting those seeds that lead you to be such a great warrior now. We're going to kind of, we don't have to do this in linear fashion. One thing I do want to say
Joe
is
Normal,
that it was not
Joe
until we interviewed Brianna Wu, who suffered through all of the Gamergate harms, that I understood, our Jim's paid operatives always show screenshots of horrible,
Jim doesn't have paid
torturous
operatives.
things that you said when you were actually trying to get at and get under the skin of some of the kind of evildoers. And I didn't realize that you were actually taking and weaponizing what was used in Gamergate against the people who were committing the harms at that time. So I think that's a very important missing link to the story.
Oh my gosh, the way Heidi is trying to justify HiFi's actions online is some woo. So hang on one second here. We're going to look at some of HiFi's tweets. Just give me one moment here. share. Okay, here we go. This is one of HiFi's tweets. Yep, still mad about me running psyops to fuck your ops all up? Stay mad. We won 2020. Oh, and the reason I got banned all the time is because they think this console thing is real, which cracks me up. It's a joke. It's one of the funnier jokes that they somehow think that any one of us has access to Twitter's backend on anything. And this is from 2024. I cannot take. And I don't hang out with Louise Mensch. I've never supported her work, and I don't know many people around me that do. But anyways, oh, and the reason I get banned all of the time is because Louise Mensch's former Yonder crew has access to Twitter's backend. They just like to lie about it. Now, okay, that HiFi says that's why it gets banned. Let's take a look at some of other HiFi's tweets. Oh, here's a nice one. Try ripping the face off. It's invigorating. And this is in response to Jim. It says Jim Stewartson, QAnon Eliminator. That was one of Jim's names. I always forget how many names he had. This was when they killed Q. Q was dead. You know, QAnon, the movement was over. And Jim had said, there is a process I call poking the bear that involves saying completely accurate things in a way that might provoke a response from related parties. The trick is to get the bear mad enough to growl information. But HiFi said, try the face ripping. It's invigorating. Let's see how else HiFi talks. Oh, here we go. Here's one. Let me zoom in a little bit here for everybody. This I was going to show later, but since it's here anyways, because it's going to come up where HiFi is going to talk about his relationship with Kurt Tanner from Anonymous. But he was talking about, and he's going to bring this up in this interview too, about this Russian guy who he says got him suspended from Twitter and his firing and things. So no, trolls got me fired. Grisham got me suspended. Me going after Grisham made her split. This is about his wife, why she left. Of course, he's dead now. Sold everything and fled back to Russia, where he developed a circulation problem, quote, in his brain that killed him. Crazy, right? And then along came Aubrey and Fred. And then Kurt Tanner says, and then, bro, LOL, I was with you talking to you on Signal that day when your wife left. So he's calling HiFi as bullshit. I didn't realize the order my screenshots were in. Here's HiFi. This is 2023. Jim Stewartson, I'm on there to ruin some very specific people's mental health, and I'm already back to doing it. And he was talking about being back on Twitter. This is HiFi over on Toad Social, which is on Mastodon, and it is the one that Dave Troy hosts. Oh, that's just HiFi's Polish Nazi account he has right now. We're going to get to his whiteboard in a second. But those are just some of his tweets right now, and I have his actually deleted all of his deleted tweets from his original account. So yes, I remember you telling me that she was Muggsy. I remember that. Yeah, when we had that talk. She does reputation watch oh my gosh, I'm tongue tied tonight. She reputation watches crypto fascists. Yes, she does. She absolutely does.
In the way they try to make you look like a monster, which is not to say that you're not a monster at times, because I know that that is your philosophy is to be that bigger.
She's excusing it again.
To hurt people more who are doing these harms, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But what in your brain? I know you talk about some of the kind of cultic things that you did, and I wouldn't say you started cults, but you definitely put together groups that, that kind of one could, so kind of tell people a little bit about that, because again, it's your network ability.
And so I'm more, because I have some knives that he likes to play with. I have where he doesn't care because his kid's already dead to him. Yeah, like HiFi is a monster. He is a terrible person. He really, really is. But Heidi turns a blind eye to it all.
So in my
brainily put things together.
Yeah. So the first one, I guess you could call it a cult.
Oh,
I don't know what you.
Well, let's not. Let's just start.
See, she does it right there for him. He's like, I guess you could call it cult. And she's like, no, HiFi, let's not call it a cult, even though that's exactly what HiFi designs this for when you listen to the story. But Heidi doesn't like inconvenient truths. So she doesn't want that on her show. She doesn't want that surrounded by her because she's going to have to defend it in some manner.
All right. Well, let's put it this way. I decided to start a religion to see if I could.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I was successful. Mm-hmm. And, you know, context is important here. I was in my early mid-20s. I had done a lot of neural alchemy with hallucinogens.
There he goes again, like neural alchemy. Like he's reading these books and he's going to go over the books that he read. And like a few of them I'm familiar with that I read back in college and stuff. But it was out of curiosity. Like he goes clear to the next steps and does some really fucked up shit. And it's not funny. It's not cute.
I had also read books by Robert Anton Wilson, specifically the Illuminatus trilogy, which is basically an instruction manual on how to start a conspiracy, a cult, a religion, how to mess with people's heads. And if you read about the Discordians and any of that, I mean, let's keep in mind the Discordians and Robert Anton Wilson literally mind fucked Welch into he was a member of the John Birch Society into believing the Illuminati was a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him weird letters and they set up bizarre things around him in his life. They altered his reality such that he thought the narrative warfare was real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
For sure.
And I wanted to try it. I'm like,
yeah, that's so cool that you did that.
I wonder if I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point, and this is verifiable. You ever want to talk to my friends who knew me at that point in my life? I refused to answer to anything but Rafiki.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he named himself after, in case anybody has forgotten, you can click there, like to see the Lion King character. It's the baboon from Lion King. He called it Rafikiism and named after this baboon in Lion King. He's not a serious person, but he seriously was fucking with people in a very dangerous and misguided way that could really have done a lot of harm to people. And we don't know the ramifications of what he's done either.
Who? Yes,
it's
I took the name of the
it's not a funny,
from
charming
the
story to tell.
It's actually it's also Swahili for friend, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was Rafikianism.
No turtleneck tonight.
And I would gather people together, and I would take different books from the library, and I would read them sections of the books and discuss why this section was important.
Psychological warfare is okay if they're the ones doing it.
And people started showing up, and people started bringing marijuana, and people started bringing gifts to me, and that's when things got really kind of weird. And it really broke me one day. I was talking to someone who was in the group, right? Because that's all it was. It was a group. I was talking to someone who was in the group, and I said, I'm going through a dry spell. I haven't gotten any lately. He's like, oh, you want my girlfriend?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds very culty.
Yeah, Mer.
And that kind of pushed me over the edge.
Right.
And luckily, I also had that was right before that was that put me on edge.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
gross.
wow, this is really
It's
wrong.
really
I shouldn't make people be like that.
Yeah.
Even though, wow, it's amazing I can make people be like that.
Yeah. It's dangerous stuff, though.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's why I was like a little too powerful. And I had the opportunity to go to Japan and teach English classes for my uncle, so I did.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine if somebody was telling me this story, or if I had even heard it from a podcast partner or somebody. Like, people come on the Twitch stream with me, and they're telling me, "Hey, by the way, I created this cult," and I said, "I'm not getting any. First of all, gross." And then you're like, and they offered, but, and she's like, "Yeah, that's bad news, bro." Next story, like, these people.
And
So
the whole
that-
thing just
And
kind of
they're
fell
the
apart.
leaders
That
of the
ended
digital
Rafikiism.
battlefield, guys. They're going to save
Well,
That
democracy.
ended Rafikiism, yes.
It's kind of Rafikiism. What's interesting
It's
though
not
is
interesting,
that
Heidi.
as I go through this journey with you, where we investigate radicalization, disinformation, so much of it goes back to cult behaviors, which actually you have firsthand experience in, because then you played around with a couple other groups that you formed as well.
Yeah, and actually,
Here comes another cult. Get ready. We got another cult coming.
that one I was very, very careful. I didn't want it to be, because groups have power in any dynamic, right? A large enough group of people can cause things to happen. Look at January 6th, right? But I was very, very careful with this group because I didn't want this group to be a force for anything but just kind of stupid, goofy fun.
Community.
Right? Community. It was just I was building a community, and what it was a community for bearded IT professionals. I know that sounds ridiculous, right?
I
A little bit different.
Yeah, except it's actually a thing. These are people from a European chapter. This is us in Vegas at VMworld. I mean, that's quite a few people. And actually, in that third one, if you look, there's actually women in there, like right there in the middle.
Well, I saw a few pictures of women putting on fake beards, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, you can search the hashtags EMC World Beardos.
Nobody wants
That's when
to
I
know
started
me.
it in 2015, and then that turned into V Beards when I went to work for VMware. Yeah, that was.
Well, I find it interesting for a few reasons. One, because so much of what we do explores people who are under undue influence. Thank you for letting homonyms are my weakness, and thank you for letting me know after I sent my Betty Dangerous post out that undue is DUE.
Yes.
I'm a daughter of immigrants. I've always been bad with homonyms and metaphors. But I will say that so much of what we do study relates to people who have had their minds
so
manipulated.
much
So
nonsense.
you
It is.
knowing and experiencing it knows the
I know,
danger of
Nicole.
it. And why I find that particularly of interest is that Jim, our partner, who we're going to do a fireside chat with as well, he helped create this alternate reality gaming
Fucking Jim always has to come up.
world for fun and for good and for sport, to draw people into just an additional value for gaming, and saw it being weaponized for bad and to radicalize people. And I think you also saw firsthand how easy it was to manipulate
He created
people
a fucking
and how
cult,
bad
Heidi.
that was.
On
And so I think
purpose.
it's given you guys both some insight that's made you particularly nimble and understanding.
Jim was making ARGs for money, completely different thing.
That brings us to
He was in Silicon
your
Valley. He was a tech bro.
technologist background and your network mapping. And I think it's very important to know that while you were doing VBeard and had a great job and had kind of abandoned trolling for sport.
You guys are want to get your hip waders in, and the bullshit's going to get
Something
deep here.
happened. And you should tell our viewers what that was.
You talking about the Rittenhouse thread?
I am. And I would love to know.
This is tonight. This is the story of HiFi. During Christmas in 2023, he might be. It's Just weird. During 2023, HiFi had the idea to do a story where they each interviewed each other. So HiFi interviews Jim and Heidi interviews HiFi and Jim. And then I think HiFi actually interviews Heidi. So I thought, like, as I started the stream before I got into other stuff for people who are new to the Stooniverse, I would start with these three, like, to and show them the story. And that is cracking me up.
I'm not anonymous about being in recovery, and often in recovery we talk about what happened before that, like, last day, or what happened before that final day. So that's kind of like day zero. What was happening in your life?
No, do not be sorry. It's hilarious.
Landed on the Rittenhouse fundraiser. What, kind of give me an idea of the days or weeks prior to that?
Oh boy, this
to
Kyle
be
Rittenhouse
completely
thing.
honest, I was almost caught up in.
Mina, brace yourself, because you're probably going to get very, like, I think this part is fine. It irritated me today. I forgot that the way he phrases this. Oh shit, I went back too far. Mischief. Where was I at? How far was I?
Anti-racists into their groups. And
okay, that was that.
People were so freaked out by the spectacle, by the story, by the narrative warfare that we were engaged in. Well, I think
it's like, murderers.
Okay, we're further than that.
And the way they tried to make you look like a monster, and which is not to say
here
that
we go.
you
It shows
guys
me.
both some insight.
There we go.
That's made you particularly nimble in understanding all of this.
I
and
did.
That brings us to your technologist background and your network mapping. And I think it's very important to know that while you were doing VBeard and had a great job and had kind of abandoned, trolling for
keep in mind
sport,
that HiFi really thinks, and they
something
do, that
happened.
Leftist groups and protests
and you should tell our
are
viewers
all
what
some
that
kind
was.
of op.
You're talking about the Rittenhouse thread?
I am.
As he goes into this.
I am. And I would love to know, I'm not anonymous about being in recovery. And often in recovery, we talk about what happened before that, like, last day, or what happened before that final day. So that's kind of like day zero. What was happening in your life before you
They do. They always punch
landed
left.
on the Rittenhouse fundraiser? What, kind of give me an idea of the days or weeks prior to that?
To be completely honest, I was almost caught up in online leftist radicalization.
Online leftist radicalization.
Because of the way my job was at the time, one of the things I was meant to do was be online and promote our company and talk about technology and promote things and blah, blah, blah. And obviously I also followed the news on Twitter and, checked out data and what was going on around the world and the country. And it was the Portland, the Portland riots.
Right.
And those, I have friends who live in Portland, and
I know,
those
Gary. I know.
wound me up. Those got me going to the point I donated money to Portland causes, and
it's almost like he's like oh my gosh, I almost went so far as to leave my house and protest, but I was like, they were all infiltrators and there were psyops, and it really wasn't what it seemed like. I can't believe they almost got me.
Made sure my friends were okay.
He did, Nicole.
And actually ran across one of the first ops I encountered in this entire thing. And it took me about 3 months to identify him as an operative, but he gave himself away in a DM. I said, hey man, I really appreciate what you're doing out there. And, standing up against the Proud Boys and fighting fascists. And he replied, "Is that what you think we're doing? Ha, 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 ha."
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that kind of gave that away.
Wow.
One person,
I was
you
like,
don't even know
oh.
what that means.
Oh.
That's so out of
Wow.
Oh my God.
I very much wanted to go to the BLM marches in DC, and
this is the one, Jerry.
COVID was raging, and shout out to my dad for telling me, "You're an idiot. That nothing good's going to come of that." And one thing you should know about my folks, I live with my adopted dad, my biological mom. I grew up with. Anyway, but my adopted dad was a hellraiser back in his day. He protested the Vietnam War. He ran an underground socialist newspaper. He'd been through the street fights and knew that no good could come of it.
Oh, fuck, I did it again. I didn't mean to.
There's so many ways to get in trouble. Yeah. Dad was a hellraiser back in his day.
I meant to pause and go, he lives in Akron, Ohio. At the height of the protest, major cities were having, I would have to go back and fact check and see what was going on in Akron at that time. But there had to have been protests there when he was like, I wanted to go to DC, but I realized there was an op. I don't know. He's a weird fella.
Protested the Vietnam War.
There's no protest where I live.
Socialist
I live
newspaper.
in the country.
He'd been through
no protest around me. I have to go somewhere.
And knew that no good could come of it.
I don't know.
So he convinced me to stay home.
And let's be clear, it's not because there was anything but beautiful intent with the Black Lives Matters movement. It's just that all these beautiful movements get infiltrated, and that Russia in particular has been opping all of our beautiful movements. It happened to the Women's March. We know factually it happens to everything. And so that's why I would say it's not going there because of the genuine people caught up in a genuine, beautiful movement against,
the struggle against racism.
Abuse.
Yeah, the struggle against racism is very, very real in the United States.
It's the infiltration. I just wanted to make sure we clarified that.
Well, what I would like to say is,
no, don't be sorry. We say it all the time.
If you think that something might be an active measure, if you think that something might be an operation, sometimes it's best to take a step back and watch how things play out.
You can't live. There would never be anybody at protest or anybody taking any real action if everybody was like, that's an op. That might be this. That might be that. Jesus, I cannot imagine living at this level of paranoia. I really cannot. She would fit right in with the Women's March. Yeah. The safest place, the safest one to go to.
Oh, because what I've noticed is there are people who were associated with BLM who grift.
We know, and that was called out. Black Lives Matter is an ideological movement, not one group. Nobody heads the whole organization. HiFi knows better than that. Well, maybe he doesn't know better. He just likes to spew this bullshit.
But I could say the same thing about MAGA.
Any movement. Well,
there's scammers.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Nothing's perfect.
I did that whole report. I did that whole report showing the Russian operative who was paying both organizations on the left and organizations on the right to create chaos. So we know that is actually something that happens. And what's a drag is that I am unfortunately now seeing it everywhere because you're paranoid that there's active measures everywhere and people are easily purchasable, which is what also I think that defiance that me, you, and Jim share. We have some sort of armor against a lot of that, and maybe it's life experience. Maybe it's it's also you teaching me, everything's an op. Now, I don't believe everything's an op, but I certainly take, fools rush in and I just saunter. I just kind of take, a slow,
They really should.
long look at it.
So when I say everything's an op, I don't mean that everything is some sort of
The sad
foreign
thing is that people
funded
trust them.
or politically motivated
That's what's scary.
operation against you.
Yeah.
What I mean is that everything in your life, from your kids to your parents to the city you live in to your neighborhood to your neighbors, everything tries to influence you a little bit.
All right, I meant to
right?
put that at 1.25.
You know, I live in a house and I like to smoke on my back porch, but my neighbor likes to have their back window open and the smoke goes in their window. Well, if I can hear my neighbor in there
she just
coughing
saunters
hard
in,
every time
Nicole.
I'm smoking, guess what? That's you know,
Just to see if
he's
there's an off
not
there.
really choking to death, but he's trying to
He's making a
subtly
point.
let you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you better find a new bench.
yeah. It's an influence thing, and all right, that's cool. I get it. Right? So that's what I mean when I say, like, you know, I got yelled at for eating my children's their fruit snacks. Obviously, I bought the fruit snacks.
Oh, I got so HiFi down. He actually
They're trying to
talks normal.
influence me to not eat them. Okay, I see your little op kids. All right. Fine, fruit snacks.
That sounds more like passive aggressive, I think, than ops. But I get your point. I just, you know,
HiFi's fast.
we, our friend Jack Bryan, who is producing American PSYOP about Wes Clark Jr.'s the operations run against him. He really made a great point the other day when he was just like, you know, we're used to being.
I have to break in real quick. I don't have the YouTube link right now, but I'll put it in my sourcing. Wes Clark Jr. is loathed by the indigenous people at Standing Rock because of what he did there. Now, he has this fancy podcast and series that was done about him, and everybody just loved American PSYOP about Wesley Clark. If you go and read his Twitter feed, he fits right in with them. Everything's a PSYOP. Everybody's out to get him. His story is so fantastical. I listened to the whole thing, but I also found indigenous people who run a YouTube channel. It's a radio station in South Dakota. Somebody turned me on to it. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, Standing Rock and the indigenous people, not a fan of Wesley Clark Jr. He's nobody's hero and what he did there.
Marketed to. We're used to being manipulated by advertising. We're aware of that. Why are we so reluctant to believe that there are active measures and psychological operations occurring in America?
It is fashy, Jerry. I did I have a small YouTube thing where I examine all their fashy symbols. They have tons of fash symbols throughout their episodes and intros, clear back from when it formed.
I don't know, other than the fact that we didn't have experience with this on the mass scale that we have right now. When Jim talks about Twitter being the largest, you know, psychological operation in history, he's talking about the scale of it, the scale of Facebook. We, again, in World War I, we dropped pamphlets to try to manipulate, you know, minds. This is different. It's in your homes. It's on your phones. It's in your bedrooms with your children. It's changing things. And that interview that we just did with Paul Nyland is so brilliant when you look at what, you know, when you kind of go back to Russia and look at what's been played on the people there and maybe what we could expect in the future. But all of this is to say that your unique background and life experiences have led you to actually just being just an unbelievable mind and warrior in this world, in this battle that we have. And at any time, you know, I know anytime I'm doing this work, I put in a call to you because that network technologist map of yours is just incredibly adept at seeing the operations and seeing the connections, which takes us back to that Rittenhouse thread. So
before HiFi gets into this, let's see who Heidi calls for advice. I have a real quick thing here. Let me pull it up real quick. Not right now. Hold on, I'm doing Hang on, I'm just gonna share a screen. Okay, let's see. Here it is. Okay, this is a recording of HiFi. Make this bigger. Hunter, you're being too noisy right now. Play that one more time in case you missed it. Hunter. Hunter will not be silenced. He is so loud, I swear. So that was yeah, it was either Sean or HiFi. I think it had to have been Sean because Sean was really into all that stuff and created a lot of their things. I think so. Hunter is so noisy. But could you guys hear what I was playing? That was a recording of, like, Hunter was really on me, but that was a recording of, oh gosh, I'm trying to share my screen again. There we go. There we go. That was a recording of HiFi in a space talking about his kids already being dead to him and he didn't really fucking care, basically burned the world down. But that's HiFi. That's Heidi's partner. And since I'm here, let me pull up. So if we stop sharing, share the screen instead. Okay. Share screen. Window. Okay. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this. This is from High Fidelity. I do hope it happens the way I think it will, kinda, because then I get to be something I never was allowed to be before, and there won't be any laws or police to stop me. Kind of makes me giddy thinking about it. But I'll leave you, because I do have one rule. No women, no kids. It's a predator thing, really. He's so fucking gross. That's the dead. Okay. Why do you think I learned to fly planes? Why do you think I learned to shoot from far away? Why do you think I studied anatomy? Yeah, I do hope it kind of happens the way I think it will. Kinda. Because then I get to be something I was never allowed to be before. And there won't be any laws or police to stop me. Kind of makes me giddy thinking about it. You want to recruit me to join in your bunker? Nope. Oh, okay. I have a bunker so that when shit does pop off, I can lay low. And when I can finally come out, hunt the individuals who made the shit pop off. Okay. I think I read that already. Oh, no. Here we go. And when I can finally come out, hunt the individuals who made the shit pop off. I don't really care. Billions are gone. Billions are going to die. Don't really care they kill my kids. They're already dead in my head. But I will make sure those responsible pay for it. Why do you think? And then it continues with the learning to fly planes. This is from Jim Stewartson's Discord. Wouldn't surprise me, Jim says. Nurgal, they're talking about Fred here. This is Fred Brennan, who has a brittle bone disease. And at the end, HiFi says, remember that scene in Crocodile Dundee where he sat down and punched the guy in the wheelchair? That's what I want to do to Fred. So, yeah, he was wishing violence on a man with brittle bone disease. Here's HiFi's obsession with knives. Oh, we're going to have fun. You forget. Real life doesn't need computers. I like knives. You like knives? Straight razors too? So shiny, so pretty. I can come show you my knives and my razors. You'll like them too. Shiny and cold. Knives. Fucking freak. Here he is telling somebody, Jesus, this is 2024. So lame, you should consider crocheting a noose. Jim telling they would fuck these people. Oh, here's HiFi and his lovely yo mama jokes. Your mom's a thin-skinned asshole. That's why I use a lot of lube. I've seen your mom in movies before on Pornhub, and your mom loves my degeneracy. He's so gross. He's like a child. But even worse, like my children never talk that way. Anyways, we'll get back to more of HiFi's degeneracy. I have more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. When Heidi says we show a few screens, or they're old ones, or she's just this poor little thing that doesn't really know anything about HiFi, and they only pull out these old screens, like, no, we have current ones. Like, we even have their most recent ones where he's pretending to be that Polish person on Twitter. Like, so, yeah, you would be correct. He actually brings up in the Greg Hausch interview. It's interesting that you say that, because he brings up what's that? Lindy Lou, is that an actress? Lucy Liu, or what's her name? I can't remember, but he brings up her.
Prior to that, you could feel, and a lot of our friends have confessed. So many of our friends confessed they were getting caught up in that far left pull. And what we learned from our friend at Rand Corporation is that operations were being run.
I feel like I need a shower after reading his tweets out
further
loud.
to the extreme left, or further
Heidi's
to the
sex book,
extreme
okay.
right,
HiFi's
to
tweets
remove that
disgusting.
middle where we all came together for community and to get things done. And we are still living in that fractured state right now. So a lot of our friends.
Yeah, that's it. Lucy Liu. I could not think of the name. I was combining too many names.
Way to the extreme left. And so you were being pulled that way. And then what happened? Obviously, your dad intervened. That was one part of it.
Well, yeah, he kept me from going to DC. The other thing was, on Twitter, I have friends on both sides of the political aisle, right? I have friends who are.
I missed the Rand Corporation. Did she say, what was the Rand Corporation? What did he say? Nicole, I missed that part. Sorry.
Country.
Yeah, insert
country,
hello fellow
conservative,
kids.
Christian, God and guns, whatever, and that's cool. I grew up in small town Ohio. I understand that. Obviously, I don't put up with racism from them, and they don't bring racism, and I think most of them are anti-racist. Not just not racist, but virulently anti-racist, right? And I also have a lot of friends who are urban and very hip. And I have a friend of mine who is a Sikh who lives up in Toronto. I have
I'll have to.
I have a nephew who's Muslim.
Look for that back in the
cousins who are Jewish.
I'll look back in the transcripts from that Rand part. That was a nice catch, Nicole. I totally missed that.
I have a huge, wide swath of different types of people in my life, and I love them all. So I was watching what other people were seeing. Like, oh, hey, check out this post from Andy No, which I didn't know what Andy No was at that point in time right away.
Yes,
Miles, Ian Miles Chong, still Greg. Well, you said this. Look at this clip, right? And what I realized is the two realities that people are seeing on the right and the left. And I actually remember this moment.
Yeah,
it was such a disparate realities that I was being fed that I had to push myself away and grab my head and go, "What the hell is going on?"
Wow.
Because this reality is fracturing here. This is, I'm seeing one thing from these people and one thing from these people, but it's the same event, but it's completely different context. And it blew my mind.
For a grown man to see that? You just figured that out. Wow.
And then, I don't remember if this was before
Nicole.
or after Rittenhouse. I'd have to check my calendar. But I do know that one of the things that occurred was there was the George Floyd protest in Akron, Ohio. And my daughter wanted to go, you know, she's 15, 16, teenager, wanted to go see.
Yeah.
And I agreed. You want to go and this,
Yes,
you know,
Mer.
It's
That's a
important.
great description.
there was a protest in Akron, and I went to the protest.
He actually didn't vote in the 2016 election because did he believe some of the stuff about Hillary? I think the Seth Rich. I think he's a Seth Rich. He was into the Seth Rich conspiracy theory. I'll have to go back and find it. Maybe Nicole remembers if I'm correct on that. I know he didn't vote in 2016, and I think it was the Seth Rich conspiracy. Like he believed it. Yep, I was right. Okay, yeah. So he's a conspiracy theorist too because he didn't vote in 2016. So he was online enough to see these disparate realities going on. So this is a bunch of bullshit of what he's saying. Like, oh, my mind was blown and I couldn't believe Andy Ngo is posting this. And then I'm seeing this. He mentions on Greg House, he uses Unicorn Riot as an example for the left. And I'm seeing Unicorn Riot post this. And, oh, my mind, I couldn't take it. You believed Seth Rich, the conspiracy theory, and didn't vote. Yeah, this isn't what we said. HiFi says it.
Just in Akron, and I wanted to protect my child in case anything went sideways. And you know, and while I was walking through the crowd, and when you've thrown raves and you've been in big clubs in a entrepreneurial
when you've thrown
aspect,
raves like I have,
you can read the crowd and tell who different people in the crowd are and what their motivations are, right? You can look at someone and be like, okay, they're a normal person having fun, cool. You can see that this one guy is like staring at this chick across the club. Okay, he's focusing on trying to get whatever. You can read people that way, right? And there were some people I read in the crowd who did not belong there. And it was 3 young men who were
psyops,
definitely more rural, shall we say. They were not Akronites. They were from outside of town. And I clocked them.
I honestly can't.
And sure enough, when the rioting started, it was those 3 men.
Yeah. So they were sent there.
Yeah.
They were sent there.
Yeah, agent provocateurs.
Do you have proof? Or are you just thinking?
Probably local Proud Boys.
Oh my God. They would have been identified.
One was shaking the rail, one threw a water bottle. The police instantly responded with tear gas.
Yeah.
Now, thanks to my military experience, I knew exactly what to do. The street cleared, like everybody just booked, except for me because I'm hit with all this tear gas. And someone had brought a case of water and I saw it on the street. I went over, I grabbed a couple bottles of the water and I hosed my face down. When you get tear gas, you don't touch your face, you don't rub anything, you just flush with water immediately. That's like the best thing for it. And I got up, the street was empty, and there's a line of police in their riot gear. And I proceeded to spend the next 10, 15 minutes reading the riot act to the Akron PD.
Wow. Wow.
Asking what the fuck was wrong with them? Why did they just do that? Those were stupid kids. Now they're going to be stupid, angry, violent kids.
Surprised this didn't make the news.
You caused the damage.
Like
you should be at
national
home
news.
with your families, watching Netflix and eating dinner. You
Exactly.
fucking morons.
You should never clock people because you can
And
put a target on
I am
innocent people's
sure
backs.
that there are some police in
'Cause you're
this
an idiot.
town who
Yep.
remember me because I was wearing a kilt.
And I would like to make that point there because I was discussing, I'm in a rural area. So if any of us, just because we come from rural areas doesn't mean that we wouldn't want to come and protest something. So regardless in cities, what does rural even look like? It's so fucking stupid. But anybody can come dressed as anything. Like, what does rural look like? Like, I don't even know. But It's the same thing with busing people in and everybody looking suspicious. So stupid. But I have to go to like bigger cities around here to protest, and they're not like, oh, I think she's one of them country girls coming here to protest. Stupid.
I had a big face mask on, which I had down, so I had my beard, right? And I was wearing a frog. I had a T-shirt that had a picture of Frog and Toad on it that underneath said, fuck the police.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
I'll tell my husband tonight how brave you were.
I know they know who I am. I know they're... And here's what happened after that. No more riots. And they never again used tear gas. And all the marches that occurred in Akron, they staged in riot gear, but they staged blocks away.
Because HiFi stopped it.
They let the people protest in peace because that's our right.
Mm-hmm.
So did I do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
But I guarantee there's fucking police in this town who know me from that.
You might have been wearing a kilt, but the reason you didn't get kilt is because you are a white man, and that is absolutely clear. You know.
I know I have privilege, and the only thing I can do about that is use it for good. That's all I can do.
It's insane. And also, of course, we have friends of this show who are police officers. This is not something that we
doesn't he have a statue in his honor?
We realize that they are fighting the same type of corruption that we are. And unfortunately, we hear from our friends in law enforcement, their frustrations at how members of their own, ranks have been radicalized. So let's just get right to it now. So there you are. It's a hot summer. It's a heated time. Your daughter's experiencing, what it's like to fight for social justice. You're seeing ops, and then what happens?
What happens?
And then Kyle Rittenhouse shoots 3 people and kills 2 of them. And
I just want to preface because I'm going to laugh at a lot of stupid shit HiFi says and point out some stuff. What Kyle Rittenhouse did was absolutely fucking abhorrent, and I do not in any way support Kyle Rittenhouse or anything he's done, his lawyers, MAGA, the right, any of that bullshit. But the way HiFi tells this story and this international gang that wants to take him down and get him fired and this weaving of this tale is absolutely fucking absurd.
Reached out to the CFO of Give, Send, Go. I mean, they had the fundraising that went up on GoFundMe, and that got taken down. And they had this fundraising that went up on Give, Send, Go. My opinions about Kyle Rittenhouse are personal, and they don't even matter anymore. And Rittenhouse doesn't matter to me. I mean, he's an op, obviously, but he doesn't matter anymore because what happens far outweighs whatever bullshit that was. And what happened was I reached out to the CFO, Jacob Wells, and I asked him politely. I said, hey, this violates your...
He actually does, and I'll read this because I was like, HiFi actually did. So he says, not sure why you blocked me on Twitter, Jacob, but I'd love to connect. Hi, Joshua. I don't recall doing that. It may have been unintentional, but glad to connect here. Thanks, Jacob. Hope you're doing okay now. Listen, there's a problem on your site. 1 second. Let me get rid of these closed captioning. There's a problem on your site. The comments are pretty vicious.
Terms of service. The comments are...
Read this before he continues. It's your choice to do what you want. I believe in freedom, but this troubles me. I reported it to your Facebook staff, but no response. I absolutely condemn violence on both sides, and it makes me sad to see what's going on in a country we both swore to defend. You may not be aware, but GoFundMe recently removed Rittenhouse fundraising attempts. They moved to your site.
Violent and callous. You claim to be a Christian.
Okay, I'll read the rest of this here. I know that's a lot, and I'm sorry to dump this all on you, but I really have been trying all day to raise someone. Hi, Joshua. I appreciate your stance, but we are committed to keeping this campaign up. We may not always get it right on what campaigns to allow, but we will err on the side of freedom. The freedom that we have in this country came at a very high cost. Hopefully you recognize that. We currently have a judicial system that works on the premise of innocent until proven guilty, which is a valuable premise for us all. Our platform will continue to strive to be open to a wider expression of fundraising opportunities for all sides of the ideological spectrum. That does not mean that we will allow every campaign. We won't, but rather because we see other platforms operating with a very left of center leaning bias, and we believe a more centered, balanced platform is needed. We hope to be part of that balance.
Fundraising site, and you are letting a person fundraise off of violence. And he went dark on me for 24 hours. And when he came back, he fed me this line about we're not going to take it down because freedom. Okay. So I started tweeting about this, and this was the Rittenhouse thread that I pulled on. And obviously you can't see it anymore because I've been banned from Twitter so many times, but I was smart enough to actually save it. And this started on August 28th of 2020.
We have it too, HiFi.
And I started going through and tweeting about these things. And unfortunately, I don't have all the pictures, but yeah.
Well, let's back up for a second, because you're going about your life. By now you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have a home, family, all the things, all the suburban things. And it bothers you because you've got that defiance and a bit of self-righteousness, which I think we all have to do this work, that Kyle Rittenhouse,
I forgot to turn the
or those around him, his lawyers, are profiting off of the murders of people. And why can't you just at that point just let it go?
Because HiFi's a hero, Heidi.
You have to put your line in the sand there and say this is not acceptable.
Because you just mentioned privilege, and yes, I have privilege, and look, he shot 3 people. I don't care if you're black or you're white or Hispanic or Asian.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not righteous anger, it's ego.
And kill 2 of them in this country, you go through the system. And you don't get to fundraise off of it and get movie star lawyers just because I killed him for such and such a reason. No, it doesn't matter why. The law is supposed to apply equally to all of us. Obviously, we know that's not true.
Obviously, we know it's not true.
But
yeah,
it's supposed to. And it was it was one step over the line of outrage that had been years of outrage.
Oh, there's no way he listens to people.
Under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
We really did cross the Rubicon. I mean, so many times, but that in particular, when we talk about that Overton window, man.
No, you don't get to fundraise off of murder, man. You just don't.
So you went for it and you posted on Twitter and you started to see some of the people that were involved in this, and you started to see a bigger network behind this. And without getting too in the weeds, because we've rehashed this on many shows.
She does not want him to tell his story. She's like, we've talked about it too much.
Like when
Jim
you
can tell his
zoomed
story as
out,
much as he
what
wants.
did you
Not
do?
you,
What did you think?
Well, the first So the first thing that happened while I was tweeting this thread was the announcement that John M. Pierce and Ellen Wood.
I have to tell you all, like, this gets and I'll show his board. I paused it so that everybody can see what this looks like. And he has several different versions of this, but he is going to start listing off people and connections. And you're just like, yeah, they are slacktivists. You're going to be like, what the fuck? And who the fuck is he talking about? It gets very conspiratorial.
To be representing Kyle Rittenhouse, and they were responsible for the fundraiser, and all funds raised would go to them. So
I just got to chill.
What I noticed
Heidi
about the update is that it was in Greenwich Mean Time, and it occurred, it was time stamped 9:35 p.m. I was in, I'm in the Eastern time zone. It was whatever, 4:30 my time. I'm like, why is somebody from the UK posting a fundraiser for this kid over here? What? So that was already weird. Plus I was kind of wondering what the hell was going on with Brexit and everything. And I had seen The Great Hack with Professor David Carroll, so I knew there was some funky stuff going on. I didn't quite get all of it yet. But I knew there was something weird with the UK going on. And until I really got down into the weeds on it, I thought it was unrelated. But okay, so we get John M. Pierce. And I go looking into John M. Pierce, and I start digging up all sorts of information about John M. Pierce.
Did you already forget who John M. Pierce is?
And I come across
he is one of the
an
lawyers
attorney
representing
named Don
Kyle
Lewis.
Rittenhouse.
And I'm looking up articles on John M. Pierce and Pierce Bainbridge and blah, blah, blah. And I find Don Lewis. And this, Don at this point in time maybe had, I don't know, 700, 900 followers. He was.
She could give two fucks about this story.
Yeah.
She does not care.
And Don had some choice information concerning John M. Pierce's bookkeeping and possible fraud. And the one piece of information he had, it was one line on a document he had. And it said John M. Pierce received $1.8 million from a Russian banker.
Ooh, who is it, HiFi? Who's the Russian banker?
What?
He tried to take you out? So
I started looking through John M. Pierce's case filings and, work that he's done and articles that his name appears in Pierce Bainbridge. And it turns out this banker was this guy named Sergey Grishin. And John M. Pierce was representing Sergey Grishin against a woman named
this is
HiFi's
arch nemesis.
Still
he's dead.
Actually, John M. Pierce is no longer representing Sergey, but Sulkis and Jennifer Sulkis and Sergey Grishin still have a lawsuit pending. And I read the details of that case, and they were absolutely crazy. Apparently, Sergey Grishin set up a website called loveandtreason12.com, and he was accusing his wife of cheating on him, and
he's such a bad storyteller. Like,
people
what the
with
fuck is this about?
Gun, and he pistol whipped his wife.
And this is all according to court documents.
And this is all according to court documents. I'm not making any of this up. This is all verifiable. And I found all this information about him, and I found this woman, Jennifer Sulkis, online, and I'm like, who is this motherfucker? What is going on here? And she's just like, look, he's
I can't believe.
bad dude.
Can I just
Stay
say,
the hell away from him.
I read
we have
that
a recording.
article. The fact that he contacted, they don't care who they contact or who's involved in anything. It's awful. Anyways, I posted that article. If you read it, this Sergey Grishin is a horrible person, but he wasn't trying to take out HiFi. He doesn't know about little HiFi, except he did that DMCA bullshit or whatever.
Recording of him, and this was an actual piece of evidence that was entered against him. They have a recording of him trying to hire hitmen.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was like 15 hitmen for €1 million a piece. That's 15 names. Right. And luckily the person said no, and apparently gave this recording over to someone else, because who knows why, but bless them, whatever their twisted motivation was. And yeah, so there's this Sergey Grishin guy involved. I'm like, okay, this is just bizarre. Why is one of Rittenhouse's lawyers attached to this Russian banker? So I start looking into this Russian banker more, and I find there's an Israeli financier named Dovey Francis, and they have this weird business set up through a Silicon Valley
gifts and ghosts
venture capital firm with a guy named Joseph T. Lonsdale. And it was just all very, very weird. And there's a media company, and I found companies for them in Cyprus. To watch your video. But not like Dovey Francis didn't have a company in Cyprus. His wife
can never cut to the
had a company in Cyprus that's also in California. And Sergey Grishin had a company in Cyprus along with his companies in California. It's all very, very strange.
The story's all
so I'm like,
very,
okay,
very boring.
That's weird enough for John M. Pierce. I'm just going to stop there.
Please.
That's bizarre. And then I looked at the other attorney.
That is very much it.
Wood.
Yes.
And when I started looking into Elwyn Wood and researching him and researching what cases he had been involved with, obviously everyone probably knows him from the Nicholas Sandeman case.
In case you forgot, Elwyn Wood is also a lawyer.
He was also
Rittenhouse
in the John Benet Ramsey case, which is very strange for reasons I'll go into later. But he had actually appeared in court against the PayPal Mafia, both Joseph Lonsdale, and when I read this statement,
and Mark Elias represented Ezra Cohen,
that Elise Clordy
so lawyers represent all kinds of people,
made about what Joseph Lonsdale did to her. It was heartbreaking. Like, even if 1/10 of the things she said were true, as a dad,
her soul left her body.
to a daughter,
she's done. She's like, I want this over.
Activated something in me. And I don't think I could ever be in the room with that person.
What if they told your daughter to crochet a noose HiFi? How would you feel? Pretty good about them?
But anyway, she won her dispute at Stanford, and Joseph Lonsdale was.
This is old Michelangelo, but that's funny as she was. This is from 2023. They each did like their own stories and got interviewed. Jim surprisingly doesn't get to interview anybody.
Banned
I don't know why.
From Stanford University for 10 years. And then she took him to court in a civil court case. And this is where things get weird, because one of the things that Joseph Lonsdale did,
I already forgot who Joseph Lonsdale is.
He set up a website.
I would so watch Jim interview Jim.
Emails from her and like assassinated her character on the internet. How very, very strange that Sergey Grishin had just done that exact same bullshit. Like, what is this pattern of behavior? Why are they doing
pattern
this?
Of behavior.
And then it turns out Elise Clordy lost that civil suit. And who was one of her attorneys? Elwyn Wood.
So?
All right, well, big deal. Elwyn Wood was her attorney. Who cares? No. Because Elwyn Wood also appeared as an attorney for Vernon Unsworth. And a lot of people are like, who the hell's Vernon Unsworth? You may know him as the pedo cave guy because Elon Musk labeled him that.
They keep crossing over, Mur.
And who was Vernon Unsworth's attorney in that case? By Mr. Ellen Wood.
Wow. I don't know, HiFi.
And what happened? Well, Mr.
Lawyers
Ellen
lose
Wood
cases.
lost
Yeah, conspiracy
that case.
theorist.
Okay. Now I've got when I troubleshoot a server, right? And maybe some people out there who have worked in technology understand this. If you're looking for a problem in a huge hallway full of servers, and you've got to find that one little blinking amber light, and you can find it, right? So you see that one little blinking amber light. You're like, might have a problem, right? And then you see two blinking amber lights on that same server, in this case, person or group. I see two blinking lights. And now we got the Ellen Wood thing with Joseph Lonsdale and Elon Musk. There's 3, 4. Eventually my troubleshooting ability.
She does. Oh, I meant to push that. She does.
I don't know what you call it. Spidey sense. I don't know. But it something is very, very wrong here. So I started looking more.
There's going to be lots of lights. We haven't gotten to the board yet.
2020,
just wait.
I knew nothing about QAnon. I thought it was some LARP. I thought it was just whatever. The channers are getting up to some bullshit and they're trying to start some whatever. I didn't care.
I would love to get Vaughn and Rad.
So I started looking into QAnon. And that's when I met Jim.
That's when I met Jim.
Jim makes sense to me. I understand
Jim makes sense to me.
Because the network of people that he had mapped out.
Hi, Michelangelo. Thank you for
with
stopping
regards
by.
to who QAnon was and who these people were pushing it. The network that he had mapped plugs directly into the network that I had mapped, like across the board.
I've seen Jim's map, his original ones. There's no way.
I'm pretty cynical about a lot of things.
Jim complete.
I'm pretty like, do I have enough data? Do I have enough evidence?
Neither does Jim.
To say that this thing is the problem, right? When I'm troubleshooting IT, I always make sure, like, here's my documentation, here's where the things went wrong, here's everything in the logs, here you go. Like, I'm very detail oriented when it comes to fixing things in IT. And this was just a different network for me to troubleshoot. I had a lot of data, and Jim had a lot of data, and Jim's data matched my data. And then that's when things started getting really, really weird. Because while I was tweeting this thread,
what happened
about the Give Send Go fundraiser and Sergey Grishin and Joseph Lonsdale and Elon Musk and all these weird connections, Give Send Go got hit with a distributed denial of service attack.
Oh my!
And it's called a DDoS. Right? And a DDoS is basically where you just send so much information at a website that it can't keep up and it crashes the server and the website goes down. Right? And this happened.
And what happened, HiFi?
And the next day, I got called in by my boss and the CEO of the company. And a number of emails had been sent to my employer claiming that I was a hacker, that I had hacked Give Send Go, and that my company should be investigated by journalist Tim Pool.
I've seen the data. There is no data.
Well, I know who Tim Pool is. The guy's a joke. Whatever. except my employer took this very seriously, and I got put on a very
Is
short
this where he
leash.
says Tim Pool got him fired?
But
I just want to, I'm going to play it later. But I'm only playing pieces of the Greg House interview. But he at one point will mention in the Greg House interview where when he's working for VM, he starts using their hashtags to like embed like tweets and articles and things he's read. I'm pretty sure he was being pretty fucking annoying using the company hashtags for their products. And we know how HiFi works. Like reposting is like that Lynn Wood video that he has that he thinks is amazing. And he pushes that stuff. So if you're using a company hashtag that's specifically to promote their product or game or whatever they're doing, they're going to get pretty pissed off. I don't think Tim Pool's trying to get HiFi fired or Sergey Grisham's trying to take him out.
it didn't stop, unfortunately. Right?
They told me to behave, but I said, fuck you.
So
I
you
don't
didn't
care if I lose
stop.
my job.
I didn't. And basically, I realized
Yeah, I know.
that what was occurring was a troll operation being run against me. I've run troll ops. I understand how they work. Go after people's
They
employers.
think very highly of themselves.
Friends, family.
That people
this
take
is
this much time.
basic trolling 101. And they were doing it against me. That pisses me off.
Yes, take responsibility for your own
Right.
choices.
I was there at the beginning. Don't try to play with me. So I went harder because I was trying to figure out why and what and who.
Oh, there it is.
And this is actually what I found.
Hang on, I have this blown up. Yeah, TI, that's what it reminds me of. This is HiFi's Charlie board. Hold on, let me share this screen and share this tab instead. That is his. Does that look like a board that people create? Oh, yeah, you're right. He runs troll ops so that he could understand what was happening. Yeah. But I mean, he needs, I can't think of the lady's name. She's a little bit racist, a little anti-Semitic that creates those maps with the little people on them. I can't think of her name right now. That's who needs to. But he combined his board and Jim's, and he used to show his whiteboard a lot all the time, but it is fucking insane. He's got UK on here, Cameron Cross, Brewster's, Josh Hawley's on here, Peter Thiel, Thomas Schroenberger, Mike Flynn, Larry Ellison. We got some Oracle in here. Oshman family Jewish senator. Cypress companies are over here. We've got Icon, PayPal. There's Lonsdale and all of that stuff's up here. I mean, it's just, and there's dots and circles and PayPal and Stripe. And then there's little fill-ins. This is not the board of a serious podcaster. It's actually quite, it is, Mur. It is. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really think that's such a thing that you should be proud to be showing off. At least I wouldn't, not me. But hold on one second here. Let's see. Okay, not that one. Okay, I've got something here. Let me make it bigger. Take a little break from what we were watching real quick. Oh, shh. I thought you get too loud too quick. Okay, this, we're going to come right back to this, but this is, Winks isn't here right now. Oh, she might be listening. But this is about a foreign government paying anyone to go after Jim, Heidi, or HiFi. And Jim has his, I call it his Joe hat from You, because that's what it reminds me of. Let me make this bigger here real quick. Like it's an indescript kind of a black hat. It makes me laugh when Jim wears his big hat. Oh, sorry.
Billionaires, it should be obvious to everyone by now that billionaires are engaged in a class war against the working class. And to do their war, They are utilizing cognitive warfare, psychological warfare, dissociative, traumatizing propaganda. They are utilizing liars. They're utilizing the media. They're utilizing sexual predators. They're utilizing violent criminals. They are laundering money for organized crime to do so, to pay these people to run operations against those of us who just want our children to grow up in a better world. It's about time we call it what it fucking is.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Word.
yes, it's what it is. Honestly, is a little too late to call it what it is. Let's be real about it.
He does love monochrome clothing, but there you go. Yeah, they always believe they're so important that there has to be somebody who's trying to silence them, or they can't do the good work. Like there's somebody nefarious behind this, giving everybody all this money just to fact check them because you critique them. Like it's so ridiculous. Yes, absolutely right. Heidi and HiFi are cool with troll ops as long as they're the troll ops, but stews are bad at trolling. They can't take it when called out or trolled back. 100%. I agree 100%. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what are we looking at?
She's so dismissive.
So,
all right, so what are we looking
this is
at?
the network that I actually mapped out. And, a lot of people say, oh, this looks like a conspiracy board.
And does.
All of this is open source information. All of this is known. Everything
like
written
that.
down here can be verified because I learned it through public sources.
Open source intelligence investigative
Open source
research.
intelligence. There you go. And
So what we just saw though is so enormous, and there are entire industries built up to make all of these people look innocuous and like, choir boys, and, there's all kinds of tech publications that make them look so great because so much of, what they do might be philanthropic. But what are we really up against with that? It looks so daunting.
So daunting.
Well, and I verified this with Jim a couple times as near and Jack Ryan actually answered this question with like, what we're looking at is there is a network of American oligarchs, specifically people from the PayPal mafia, or as I now like to call them, the PayPal Bratva, who are working with Russian money and Russian assets and spreading Russian propaganda.
I know.
I know.
And well, here's the thing: they're not just spreading Russian propaganda; they're enacting active measures against Americans, causing this polarization. They're also collecting data upon Americans. We've talked
Lots
about
of countries are. It's not just Russia.
I-360.
Russia's fucking terrible, but
We
China,
know about
I mean, there's
Peter
so many
Thiel's
countries.
Palantir. We know that, oh my goodness, Elon Musk bought Twitter, and suddenly the Twitter data of 400 million people is now for sale on the dark web. We have a network of, and I know this is going to sound dramatic, but I'm going with it, supervillain billionaires who are utilizing technology.
There are no good billionaires.
They are aided by a very, very large number of hackers and cybersecurity individuals and private intel companies to run these operations. They're attempting to sway public opinion, right? I mean, think about what those paid trolls who attack us do. They sway public opinion about us, right? It's an influence op. And it's being run by these people. I don't even care about our paid trolls anymore because they don't matter to me What matters to me is the people who pay them.
Yeah, the
And
top.
as far as I can
position.
tell, the people who pay them are on that chart.
Oh my gosh. Nobody is a paid troll against Heidi, HiFi, or Jim. That is a conspiratorial thought process. That is them not taking responsibility for their actions when they get called out, when they post disinformation, misinformation, when they tweet ugly, horrible things, and they're called out on it. That's holding them to account. Nobody is paid to do this. Your content creators, your podcast hosts, people are free to criticize you. And everybody on that board in 2020, like Elwyn Wood, you really think that? Like, I honestly don't get this mindset. I can't imagine living like this every day and thinking this. I mean, I think about, my loved one I lost to QAnon, like living like this and believing like people are paid to troll you. The Russians and people on that board, that's out there.
Everything seems to be lining up. Now,
No,
remember,
it's not
I came
lining
up
up.
with that chart in, prior to the election of November 2020. And I've been catching hell for it since.
Yeah.
Right?
You took it to
Everybody's
LinkedIn. You took it to LinkedIn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I took that to LinkedIn.
He goes to LinkedIn to troll anywhere because he's kicked off of so many platforms. Mastodon's not going to get him any attention because nobody's over on Dave Troy's Totes Social. Nobody cares about it. So he takes it anywhere he can to get eyes or to troll or do whatever. That's why he can't quit Twitter. He keeps creating accounts and accounts and accounts. He can't keep his mouth shut. Like, he just has to. He's doing it on Substack now because he's on Substack and realized he can try to get under people's goat there. And now he's doing it. Yeah, he got kicked off of LinkedIn. That's how sad it is. He's banned from LinkedIn. He's going to kind of brag about that. But he was trolling on LinkedIn. Like, that's really kind of sad to like do a LinkedIn kind of thing. Like, really, really sad.
I mean, in November of 2020, I called out on LinkedIn, which is absolutely not the place to do it. But what happened, Sergey Grishin needed me to shut up about this so much that he actually filed a fraudulent DMCA against me to get kicked off Twitter. So I took it to LinkedIn.
That was the first time you got kicked off Twitter, right?
That was the very first time, yeah.
Before you became a Twitter monster. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I mean, I tried.
I can't.
Well, on the next 4 accounts, I tried to keep it anyway.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So I took it to LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, when Chris Miller was installed with Kosh Patel and Ezra Cohen-Watnick, I posted about it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
When Mike Flynn was up to his shenanigans and no good, I talked about it on LinkedIn.
Who does this on LinkedIn?
As far as I know, I am the only legitimate individual who's ever been permanently banned from LinkedIn.
Baby, take a bow. Baby, take a bow.
Right. Thank you.
Baby, take a bow.
But the reason I would also like to point out is that who started /funded/founded. That would be Reid Hoffman.
You didn't get banned because it's the PayPal mafia.
HOFFMAN. And Reid Hoffman is also a member of the PayPal Bratva.
You're not that important, HiFi.
Funny how that works.
It's not funny. It's daunting, is what it is. It's daunting.
Yeah, it's not something to be proud of.
We are going up against
Have I stopped?
a network. No, you haven't. But there's just so much, a lot of pain and a lot of trauma involved in this type of work, and not enough people doing it.
We are at war. There's going to be pain. There's going to be trauma in war. I mean, we have. And what I did, one of the things I did while I was going kind of a little OSINT happy, a little bit more and a little bit more, you're going to hear the word cosmism.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon that late 2020, early 2021. I forget exactly when. Because of Peter Thiel's fascination with transfusions of youthful blood. I mean, It was such a joke. It was mentioned
yes.
in
Thank you.
what was that Facebook show that Silicon Valley?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a joke in that show, right?
I didn't know that, Muggsy.
And I was like, when I'm troubleshooting something and I'm looking at the flashing light or I'm looking for the error message in the log, I look for things that are out of place. That's out of place.
Mhm.
If people are joking that you're a vampire, what? So I started looking into Peter Thiel, and I know so much about the history of Peter Thiel. I think I could argue with the guy who wrote the book about him.
I am going to throw I'm going to throw HiFi a bone here because we're almost at the end. I'm actually going to play the video that they'll never let him talk about, and he posts everywhere. And the reason I'm going to play his stupid Ellen Wood or Peter Thiel explain in 6 minutes is because it displays the utter disdain that Heidi and Jim have for him telling his story. And if you watch RadPod, Jim tells his stupid Mike Flynn stories over and over again. The dinner in Russian, Mike Flynn doing this or that. HiFi has this one big project that he did, and he's so proud of, whether you believe it or not. But I'm speaking as, this is their co-host and their friend, supposedly. If he even brings it up, they're like, oh, we know HiFi. So I have it, and I'm going to throw HiFi a bone by playing it because you're going to see. Because they're actually in it. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted to share. It's really, I don't know why he's so proud and wants to share it, because they absolutely treat him like shit in it. No, I don't want to open that one. There we go. It's so bad. I wouldn't want to share this around and show it to people. Okay. Captions on. Yes, I guarantee Robert Evans does know more. Okay, this is a video that HiFi will post on every band account he gets. You can tell if it's HiFi because he cannot, even if he has to do it once, he's going to post a stupid video. Bash.
I decided to.
Oh, let me turn that up.
To make a network.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the network of Ellen Wood. I mean, we know, right? We know that we have the Georgia RICO case and Sidney Powell.
Poor Jim already
looks
right?
Yeah.
We know that there was planning at Tomotley. Ellen Wood's property. Yes. Who else was at Tomotley? Why, that would be Michael Flynn.
I have pictures of Mike Flynn cutting the turkey at Thanksgiving in 2020. Thanksgiving was a real interesting
Jim,
time.
this is not your story time. It's HiFi. Just be quiet.
And remember this little box right here. This is lying to the FBI case in, what was that, 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's those connections amongst those three, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another person in the Georgia RICO case who's involved, and that's Mr. Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Ellen Wood and Rudy Giuliani aren't just connected through the Georgia RICO case. No, they have another connection. A fellow named John M. Pierce.
Thinking of them in ninja costumes.
Right? Yeah. John M. Pierce.
You don't like John Pierce. I mean that.
He worked with Ellen Wood on the Rittenhouse fundraiser over here, the Give Send Go fundraiser, right?
That would be HiFi's introduction to all of this fuckery.
Yeah. And then he also did work for Rudy Giuliani at Pierce Bainbridge.
I just wanted to note Jim's different background. I just noticed this. Normally he has that ugly painting behind him, or he's sitting. He must have been allowed upstairs back when this was done. He has like a nicer background behind him. I'm sorry. I just noticed backgrounds.
All right. So that's just kind of a brief overview of some of the coup participants, right?
Data points.
Data points. Now, I want to give you a little bit of history, though.
Oh, boy.
If you go back.
And now.
If you go.
Shut up and let him
from High Fidelity.
They're so rude to him.
If you go back to 2015.
Theater.
Ellen Wood appeared in a case against Joseph Lonsdale. Yeah. Joseph Lonsdale is a very rich billionaire.
I'm so fucking bored.
He started a university down in Austin. He's anti-woke. He's also giving Ron DeSantis a bunch of money. So that's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And then if you fast forward to 2019, Ellen Wood appears against Elon Musk in the Unsworth v. Musk.
Seems like glad to be here.
Case, if you'll remember.
Can you stop for a second? Because are you trying to suggest that Ellen Wood could have been controlled opposition there somehow?
Maybe.
Okay.
It just seems odd.
Continue.
Because you can't really mention Joe Lonsdale and Elon Musk without mentioning. I froze up.
Oh,
Peter Thiel.
I was waiting for that Peter Thiel moment. Oh
Brace
my
yourselves.
God.
You screwed that up,
Yeah.
man. You needed that Peter Thiel moment. You needed the deal right before this.
Yeah, I should have put it in. All right, you're right.
That's right. That's right. This is very.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like that.
I'll just throw it in randomly. Anyway, so Peter Thiel, as we all know, funded MAGA 3X, which was General Flynn's political committee thing at the 2016 RNC, right? And there's some interesting things here because, Joe, Elon, and Peter all worked at PayPal, right? Not only that, but Peter and Joe, they created Palantir. And if you know anything about the Great Hack, you'll know that Palantir actually helped Cambridge Analytica scrape data from Facebook.
Wow.
And then you'll also know that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel funded Stripe together. The reason that matters is because GiveSendGo used to use PayPal and Stripe, and then PayPal dropped them after I made a bunch of noise. And now they're only using Stripe.
And
but there's another person.
Well, wait, Stripe is also Jack fucking Dorsey. So if anybody,
but AKA the ball slapper. Before you move on, explain to our audience your animos toward GiveSendGo in one sentence.
Heidi's like, one sentence. I don't want the whole fucking thing.
I asked GiveSendGo to take down the Rittenhouse fundraiser because I don't think you should fundraise off a murder, and they said no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, continue.
I don't like it when I get told no. Anyway.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
All right. So this fellow right here in the white, Mr. Sergey Grishin, found out he actually had done business with Mr. John M. Pierce before in a lawsuit known as Grishin v. Sulcus. And I was examining this, August, September of 2020. Eventually, Mother Jones caught on and wrote an article called Escape from the Millionaire. Escape from the Billionaire.
Who owns Facebook? I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Zuckerberg or
Sergey.
is Jack Dorsey. I'm not sure which one it was.
Well, what's interesting about Sergey is he actually
pretty sure it
worked
was
with Joe
Zuckerberg
Lonsdale.
as the ball slapper.
Initially, it was called SGVC, and then it changed its name to Group 11 VC. So these four fellas down here in this left corner, they all work together. Weird.
And what's weird is Sergey Grishin is the billionaire oligarch who stole billions out of the Russian bank in Russia, and then came here. And at some point when HiFi was mapping out this particular network, Sergey got HiFi banned off of Twitter the first time with one of those
it had nothing to do with
takedown
HiFi's disgusting
letters.
tweets.
And what's also interesting,
a DMCA.
And what's also very interesting about that is Sergey is now no longer with us because as a very young man, he died of a strange brain disease of some sort after he went back to Russia. Anyway, so tie this up and let's move on.
Let's move on. Tie it up, HiFi. Wrap it up.
So there's your entire network around Linwood that really needs investigated. That's all.
As he takes another hit.
So that's the video that HiFi's so proud of, and that he'll post everywhere under people's stuff about Peter Thiel. And I'm like, it's so embarrassing to you. Like, that's not something to be proud and show off. Like, your hosts treat you with utter disdain. They interrupt you the entire time you're trying to make this presentation that you obviously put some time into, whether you think it's good or not. But it's so rude. No, it does annoy them. None of us are. We've never denied Russian influence. There is. They just overinflate the Russian stuff. Like everywhere they look, it's Russia, 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 Russia. No, there's definitely Russian influence. Of course. Yeah, I would be so embarrassed. HiFi, you should be humiliated. I
Anyway.
can't believe you let them treat you that way.
Yeah. It's well, we certainly know that he's been trying to take out our democracy by backing some of the worst candidates this country's ever seen. There's a couple things that I think are important to note. There's been a lot of things happening. There was the Vice article, there were the hacks, there was the epic fail, there was that prayer call, there was a lot of that. And some of it we've already gone over. So those who watch the show probably know about some of that, but a quick summary of that. And then let's talk about, I guess maybe how we met and how we formed this show and bring it on home.
Aww.
So a quick summary of that was basically the individuals who have been named in the press as being behind Anonymous. And I still have DMs and screenshots and chat logs and all of that. We're running psyops against me. And I'm not exactly sure what their aim was, probably to distract me or get me to mess up. But basically I just played dumb and
Here's
trolled
the
them
thing,
all.
and he's mentioned this, and he's going to mention this in the Greg House interview, and this is just for anybody who has to leave, or, I mean, you can't stay the entire time or whatever. He talks about Jim, and he specifically says this, I am not making this up, that I meet Jim, and Jim invites me into a room where Kurt Tanner's there. So what was Jim running the psyop on HiFi, getting him involved with Kurt Tanner and with Anonymous that way? Was that the psyop? Like, come on. It's absurd. And he's going to say I loaned money to somebody in Anonymous, and it's Kurt Tanner. They have a very public fight, and it's hilarious.
I did financially help support someone who was going through some troubling times from Anonymous. Part of me now wonders if that was just a scam too, to get me to exhaust my
war chest.
buckets.
Oh, he humiliated you on Twitter.
Yeah, blow the war chest.
HiFi,
but yeah, that's
glorious.
not going to happen.
We all watched it.
We'll see. But yeah,
like
so
your 40th
those
account got suspended.
There were a number of individuals, and we've also, we've tracked them. We've tracked their history across the internet and found, yes, they've worked for Peter Thiel, and yeah, no big surprise there.
So it must.
I just want to stop right there. Anonymous is a loose collective. There is no leadership in Anonymous. That's the point of Anonymous. So for him to say they work for Peter Thiel is pretty gross.
Have really been oddly reassuring when you listen to all the episodes of Jack Bryan's American Psyop about Wes Clark Jr., because we know that ops are run against people. We don't always know the details. Sometimes it could be multiple. Maybe it's imagined. I know in an information war, there's no rear areas. So if things are weird, they're probably weird. People do things for small amounts of money just because. But it must be in a weird way oddly reassuring to know that, what you're seeing with your eyes and your ears probably is some sort of active measures.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what's really interesting to me is that, there are a number of instances in Wes's podcast that, like, again, how I said Jim and my network maps plug together, Wes's and my network,
yours and Wes Clark's
plug
maps
together.
joined together.
And
so now we have 3 people.
One of those places was actually an individual who was in Jim's group with us, and they actually animated a video for one of my poems. And I'm looking forward to the next episode because supposedly it's with this person. And I find it just very, very odd that they're in Wes's operations story. And
I think in the Wes Clark thing, I think HiFi is alluding to Desiree Kane, but I'm not Sure, I'm not 100%. So it's been a while since I've listened to that. Yes. Cortana is for Cortana. It's very obvious. Yes. He is. And HiFi got hook, line, and sinker taken by him. But I think because, and there's the public persona. So when HiFi says Anonymous is paid by Peter Thiel or Anonymous does this, because the public, like people who watch documentaries online or see this or that, think Cortana is Anonymous when he's just been a very out there public face of it. So I think that's HiFi does a great disservice to Anonymous and what they've done over the years. What do they mean when they say active measures? Spencer, psyops, like that's what they mean. Like that's basically their term. Like they interchange active measures with psyops. I'm trying to think of a better explanation for it. Yeah, Kurt put himself in the public eye, exactly. And that's why he became kind of, I guess, what the public sees as the face of Anonymous. And then that makes a big misunderstanding for what Anonymous really is and what they've done, you know. There we go. Kind of like an ongoing psyop, Russian style. Yeah. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in my story.
Yeah. And that's where it all is just so weird and murky as we try to sort through it. So at some point, I see this weird avatar saying really smart things on Twitter. Somehow I put it together.
Hold on. This avatar on Twitter saying really smart things. Now, this is the avatar that Heidi is referring to, and HiFi verifies this. Hold up one second here. Here we go. Let's see if this will open. Internet Archive's been really shitty today for me. If not, then I'll open up my folder again. Nope, guess that's not going to work. Okay, let me open up my other folder. Because this is a creepy avatar Heidi sees. So if I was posting, okay. Ooh. Like where? Nope. Gotta get to one with the ones where he's fighting with Cortana. It makes me kind of laugh. There's no winners or losers in that one. It was funny though because Cortana does destroy him, and HiFi doesn't really know what to do because he's not that good of a troll. That's when Jim's telling HiFi to shut up and don't tell me to be quiet. Oh, I guess I showed you guys all the ones that I clipped for tonight. There's more of them, and I can't get that to load, but I will try to get it to load so that we can look at them. Maybe Internet Archive will start working for me.
That it's you. Somehow we can connect. Somehow I realized that form and going and meeting up with Jim and just saying, hey, I want to do this show. Jim was like, cool. I said, I want to bring in Sean. He said, he's brilliant. I said, I want to bring in HiFi. And you already had, notorious HiFi. And Jim was just like, he is a fucking loyal person. And one thing that I have not experienced a lot of in this fight is any sense of loyalty, any sense of honor. And I want to say it is an honor to be your friend.
Oh my God. She's choking up over being friends with this madman that like wants to slice people up and talks about, has their mom jokes and like not just mom jokes, like not like the high school, early college ones that teens tell and young adults back in the day, like really disgusting, horrible ones. And she's tearing up like it's just an honor to be your friend. Oops. Uh-oh.
So it, somehow we connect. Somehow I realize.
And you get it? Well, thank you. I got some.
Fuck you, Heidi, because you support everything he does. Everything. You own this.
I'm kind of old-fashioned in certain ways.
You own all of this.
I don't cheat in relationships.
You're not responsible for his actions, but you are responsible for.
I try to be true to the people who are true to me.
Every week on your show and condone his behaviors.
And I back up people who bring receipts and have data and get it. And you get it. And you got data. And Jim gets it. And Jim has data. I got it. I got my data. People have asked me, are you some sort of operative? Right? Because in this world, you never know. Right? Mm-hmm. And I would state that, yeah, I am an operative. Absolutely 100%. And here's my op. My op is putting the people behind January 6th, behind the money laundering, behind the financing, behind all of it. The fascists, the Nazbols,
it is, Muggsy.
I don't care what you call them, anarcho-communists, the people behind it. I'm going to put them in a cage. That's my operation.
How'd that work out?
All right.
All right. So that's our little fireside chat. That was deep and profound and very important to frame it. And love you, bro. Happy New Year. See you soon.
Happy New Year.
If you think that's painfully cringe, Nicole, I'm going to play parts of the Greg House one next. He actually looks at the camera. I have to go to the restroom. I'm going to put on the sleepy kitties from the adoption center real quick. He actually, no, it wasn't deep or profound, but actually in the Greg House one, he actually looks at the camera at one point and he's like, I'm coming for you. Yeah, see this face? It's me. I'm coming for you. And it's like, HiFi. They're not watching the show. They're not watching you with Greg House interviewing you and thinking, I'm scared. That guy said he's coming to get me. Like their self-importance, once again, that they think they are affecting change by tweeting and writing Substacks articles. It's embarrassing. It is. That ends part 1 of the story of HiFi. The following is a friend of the show and a podcast we think you will all enjoy. Check it out.
The Truth Unrestricted podcast explores the mental constructions that we find in the space between what is objectively real and what is subjectively believed. In a world where objective reality becomes increasingly difficult to discover, we will need to have common language with which to describe the ways in which some of us go astray in our thinking. We talk about how a collection of lies can form an entire unreality, how psyops are narrative devices meant to justify ignoring contradictory evidence, and about the dishonesty of zealotry, in which a person believes so strongly in an idea that they're willing to lie in support of it. Truth Unrestricted, the podcast that's creating language for the disinformation age. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
I don't need new tires, but stay tuned for the next episode.
We're going to have to be smart. We're going to have to be strategic. We're going to have to be aggressive. I'm an alpha guy.
I'll flip a table every time you aren't getting by.
Let's go. Just push.
It's all psychological warfare.
I'm not part of QAnon.
We know what they are doing.
For Trump. Da, 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 da.
If shit goes wrong, like I will literally have to leave the country.
Stop that.
I'll land my initial plane.
Okay, HiFi, this isn't the HiFi show.
Good night. Good night. Nighty night.